Those sneaky buggers at Wizards of the Coast released a marketing survey this week, but didn't really tell anybody about it. Here are my thoughts. Hey there, adventurers. Welcome back to Short Rest Studios. My name is Judd, and today we're looking at a marketing survey that Wizards of the Coast released this week. Okay, so the official WoTC survey came and went so fast that many of us maybe didn't even get a chance to look at it. But both Bob Worldbuilder and Dungeon Craft, and I'm sure some other people, released videos about it this week, and Bob decided to release his own version of the survey, which basically he copied the questions, created a Google form, and anybody can go fill it out. And I'm going to put a link to that in the description of this video, because Bob's just trying to collect the data because he thinks, and I tend to agree, that Wizards probably isn't going to release this survey data publicly. So I responded to Bob's survey, and here are my answers to the questions. First question is, how do you feel about Dungeons & Dragons? I hate this game. I don't like this game. I'm neutral on the game. I like this game. I love this game. So I had to think through this for a minute because I genuinely love D&D as a game. Even 5th edition, the current edition of D&D, I love it. Do I have issues with it? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's bloated for one thing. There's just way too much stuff. But I love playing the game. And I love playing the game for a lot of reasons. Some of it's the design of the game. I think in general, the basic rule set of 5th edition is really well done. Mainly, I like to play the game with my friends. It's time that we spend hanging out, we laugh together, we joke around, we do some fun stuff together, roll some dice. I love D&D. So in the end, I thought my first response is probably the best one. So I said I love D&D. Man, I just kind of rambled on that, didn't I? When was the last time you recommended D&D to someone else? Never. More than a year ago. In the past year. In the past month. I mean, that was kind of a tough one. I just honestly couldn't remember. I think I said in the past year because I've put out some videos about D&D and that kind of thing, and some of them were reviews, and so I maybe counted that as recommending it. But specifically going out to a friend and saying, hey man, you should play D&D. I don't know how often I've actually done that. If somebody asked me, is there a tabletop role-playing game you would recommend, no caveats at all, then would I say D&D first? I might say Dungeon Crawl Classics first. But I'd also want to know like what they want out of a role-playing game experience. If they want more customization, like right off the bat, if they want an easier time finding a group to play with, I might have to say D&D. But just game-wise, just what I love, I might say Dungeon Crawl Classics. Question 3, do you think D&D is becoming less popular, becoming more popular, or staying the same? I think D&D is kind of staying the same. It's kind of staying the course right now. I think this new edition is going to bring in some new players, and that's going to increase the popularity, but then it might decrease the popularity with other people. Question 4, how do you feel about the current direction of the D&D game? Strongly negative, negative, neutral, positive, strongly positive. I said negative on this one because I think that in general the game has become too bloated, and I think that's what happens when the publisher of the game, when the company who owns the game wants to keep making money off of the same game. And it's not a game like Monopoly, right? That everybody's just going to go buy. I mean, people have a copy at their house, even if they've never opened the box and played the game. And let's be honest, I mean, maybe you've played Monopoly, but have you ever finished a game? No, nobody's ever finished a game of Monopoly. Come to think of it, man, maybe it does have something in common with D&D. All right, here's the fun section where they're going to ask us questions about Wizards of the Coast. This is where it ought to get really interesting. Question 5, how do you feel about Wizards of the Coast? I hate this company. I don't like this company. I'm neutral on this company. I like this company. I love this company. So I said I'm neutral on this company, and I have some complicated thoughts about WoTC. Now, if you asked me about Hasbro, that'd be a different answer. I wouldn't say I hate it. I don't like it because I feel like they're not handling things well. WoTC, I think there are some great people at Wizards of the Coast. As a company, I think they love D&D. I think they love Magic the Gathering. I think those people working on those Wizards of the Coast products love the products that they're making. I think they're trying to do the best job that they can. Do I always agree with their decisions? No, I mean, game design, you know, that all of those things can be subjective. Where I have an issue is the way that things are being run. You know, they're bringing in people from video games and they're moving toward monetizing the game more because it's under monetized, right? I don't like that direction. I don't care for it. So for me, it's kind of like those two things balance each other out. Question 6. When was the last time you recommended Wizards of the Coast products to someone else? Never. More than a year ago, in the past year, in the past month. That would probably have to be the same as the D&D answer in the past year. I don't play Magic. I play D&D. Beyond that, I haven't ever recommended a Wizards of the Coast product to anybody. I do think that their starter sets are great for D&D, so I mean, I would recommend those if somebody asked me, hey, what should I get to start playing D&D? Oh yeah, get the starter set, get the Essentials kit. Those are great. I don't really specifically recommend WoTC products beyond that. Question 7, do you think Wizards of the Coast is becoming less popular, becoming more popular, or staying the same? I think Wizards is becoming more popular. Magic is exploding in popularity. It continues to grow. It continues to make tons of money. D&D makes some money, but it's Magic still to this day that's making the money for Wizards of the Coast. And I think as that game grows, you can only say that Wizards is continuing to grow and become more popular. Question 8, how do you feel about the current direction of Wizards of the Coast? Strongly negative, negative, neutral, positive, or strongly positive? I said negative, not strongly negative, but negative in general, because again, this focus on digital, the focus on the VTT for Dungeons and Dragons, the focus on this under monetization of D&D as a product, as an IP, that's fine. But I think there are better ways to monetize it than what I'm afraid they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. It just doesn't feel like it's going to go in a direction that I particularly love. Question 9. How often do you watch or read content about RPG news and current events? Never, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily. Daily, guys, you know, you kind of have to when you create content like this. Yeah, I watch stuff pretty much every day. So there you go. Those are my answers to the questions. Now my thoughts on the survey itself. Was Wizards trying to hide this survey? Well, so no, I have a little bit of insight as somebody who's worked a little bit in the marketing realm. I'm not a marketing expert by any means, but I have done some work in that realm. The thing is that Wizards probably wasn't looking for a mass response. They're probably looking to get a certain number of responses over a certain amount of time, which may be the answer to both of these kind of questions. Were they trying to hide it in the first place, and were they not getting answers that they wanted or that they liked? And that's why they took it down so early. The fact of the matter is that they probably had a specific sample size they were looking for and a specific length of time that they wanted to collect that data in. So were they trying to hide it? No. I mean, they just didn't probably want everybody and their dog to answer it. They were looking for people who would go out of their way to find it, who were actually closely following them and to answer these questions. Now, the problem with that is that people who really hate Wizards probably stopped following them on Twitter, which is where Mike Shea of Sly Flourish pointed out that this survey link was posted, and like the only place it was posted, the only place that I know of. I mean, maybe put it in the comments if you found it somewhere else, but that's the only place I've heard of that it was. I feel like they're skewing their data by doing that. Like they probably weren't getting any responses from people who genuinely hate D&D or hate Wizards of the Coast because it wasn't really very public, right? Another question that Bob raised in his video was, are they going to make this data public? Probably not. And there's been a lot of YouTube titles that are like, oh, it's a data cover up. It's not cover up. I mean, most companies do marketing surveys all the time and they don't make the data public. It's for their internal teams, for their PR teams, for their marketing teams. Now, if it were overwhelmingly positive, they might share it, at least some of it, publicly. but I don't think there's anything sketchy about Wizards not sharing this data publicly, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably won't. And finally, the last thing I want to address, did they pull this survey early because they didn't like the answers they were getting? So it's possible. It's possible that even though they didn't make it super public, because we all know you can make it public without really making it public, that people found it and people were beginning to flood it with negative responses. And I mean, that could be a problem too for the data, because there could be just a whole lot of people going, oh, we hate you, and filling out these forms and maybe filling out ways to fill out the survey multiple times, and so really skewing the data negative. But the fact of the matter is, like I said earlier, when a company does a marketing survey like this, they usually have a set time limit on it. You can't just go on in perpetuity collecting the same data, because for one thing, it's going to get old and people aren't going to keep filling out the survey. But for another, I mean, what's the point of that? There really isn't one, to just have an ongoing survey. And it could be that they reach their sample size in, a few days, and so they cut it off. It could be that they were getting a lot of negative responses and didn't like the data and cut it off. It could also be that Wizards said, okay, we're going to do it for 3 days. We're going to put this out there for 3 days or whatever, and now it's gone because that was the plan all along. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm not surprised that the survey has gone away, and I don't think that necessarily means that they're hiding something about this data from us. In the end, I don't think there's a scandal. I don't really think they're covering anything up. I think they were just doing a normal kind of marketing survey. And of course, YouTube, as always, is blowing it out of proportion, and I'm going to do it too. But I don't think there's a data cover up. I don't think Wizards is covering up anything. I think they're just doing a marketing survey, and they got what they needed, and they shut it down because they got what they needed. That's what I think. Tell me in the comments what you think, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios.